Hello and welcome. I'm Lorianne Lumby with Authentic Freedom Academy, and this is our Authentic Freedom Weekly lesson for Sunday, December 20th, 2020. As I sat in question over the message for this week, I looked upon Sunday scripture first, as I usually do, and came upon readings that we have covered over and over and over again, ultimately readings that are all about bringing new life into the world. And I became very aware that any words that I would have to offer, in addition to what's already been said, would be fruitless. Fortunately, in my own reflection and self-study this last week, I came upon a reading, a passage from a book that I've been thoroughly enjoying and moving through it slowly so that it can nurture me in the way that books often can do. This book is called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it is a beautiful collection of indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teaching of plants. Not only is Robin a phenomenal writer, but she comes at these writings both from her experience as a scholar, a botanist, and as her upbringing in the Native American tradition, and in her journey of living in a predominantly white world, in a country that was once wholly and completely honored by her own people. In the past many years, we've been speaking of this transition that we've been moving through, the death of the world as we have known it, in anticipation and hope for a new world. It is very easy to wonder, are we all just making this up to make ourselves feel better? Is this something that white people have come up with to justify our privilege, or to also make ourselves feel better, to assuage perhaps the unconscious guilt that we all bear, understanding and knowing all of those people, places, and things who have suffered because of our actions? And this week, I came upon a chapter in Robin's book that is speaking specifically about the seventh fire. Seventh fire is one of many prophecies within the Native tradition, specifically the nation in which she is a member, the Potawatomi. And these prophecies that she has outlined are unmistakably accurate and have come to fruition every step of the way, including the prophecy that heralded the coming of white-skinned people to this land on boats, who would come bringing knowledge and science, people that could have been a positive influence, a fruitful influence, if we had come seeking collaboration and understanding and cooperation. But the other half of the prophecy said if they do not come in this way, they will come with violence and anger and destruction. Sadly, it is the latter that has come to pass. But the prophecy didn't end there. Instead, another prophecy arose within the Native tradition, within the Native peoples, within their honored prophets and oracles and medicine people. And I want to share with you today, as our lesson for this week, Robin's description of that prophecy. Our peoples say that a prophet appeared with a strange and distant light in his eyes. The young man came to the people with the message that in the time of the seventh fire, a new people would emerge with a sacred purpose. It would not be easy for them. They would have to be strong and determined in their work, for they stood at a crossroads. The ancestors look to them from the flickering light of distant fires. In this time, the young would turn back to the elders for teachings and find that many had nothing to give. The people of the seventh fire do not yet walk forward. Rather, they are told to turn around and retrace the steps of the ones who brought us here. Their sacred purpose is to walk back along the red road of our ancestors' path and to gather up all the fragments that lay scattered along the trail. Fragments of land, tatters of language, bits of song, stories, sacred teachings, all that was dropped along the way. Our elders say that we live in the time of the seventh fire. We are the ones the ancestors spoke of. The ones who will bend to the task of putting things back together to rekindle the flames of the sacred fire, to begin the rebirth of a nation. And so it came to pass that all over Indian country, there is a movement for revitalization of language and culture, growing from the dedicated work of individuals who have the courage to breathe life into ceremony, to gather speakers to reteach the language, to plant old seed varieties, restore native landscape, bring the youth back to the land. The people of the seventh fire walk among us. They are using the fire stick of the original teachings to restore health to the people, to help them bloom again and bear fruit. The seventh fire prophecy presents a second vision for the time that is upon us. It tells that all the people of the earth will see that the path ahead is divided, and they must make a choice in their path to the future. One of the roads is soft and green with new grass. You could walk barefoot there. The other path is scorched, black, hard. The cinders would cut your feet. If the people choose the grassy path, then life will be sustained. But if they choose the cinder path, the damage they have wrought upon the earth will turn against them and bring suffering and death to all Earth's people. We do indeed stand at the crossroad. Scientific evidence tells us we are close to the tipping point of climate change, the end of fossil fuels, the beginning of resource depletion. Ecologists estimate that we would need 7 planets to sustain the lifeways we have created. And yet those lifeways, lacking balance, justice, and peace, have not brought us contentment. They have brought us the loss of our relatives in a great wave of extinction. Whether or not we want to admit it, we have a choice ahead, a crossroads. I don't fully comprehend prophecy and its relation to history, but I know that metaphor is a way of telling truth far greater than scientific data. I know that when I close my eyes and envision the crossroads that our elders foresaw, it runs like a movie in my head. A fork in the road stands atop a hill. To the left, the path is soft and green and spangled with dew. You want to go barefoot. The path to the right is ordinary pavement, deceptively smooth at first, but then it dips out of sight. Into the hazy distance just over the horizon, it is buckled with heat, broken in jagged shars. In the valleys below the hill, I see the people of the seventh fire walking toward the crossroads with all they have gathered. They carry in their bundles the precious seeds for a change of worldview, not so they can return to some atavistic utopia, but to find the tools that allow us to walk together into the future. So much has been forgotten, but it is not lost as long as the land endures and we cultivate people who have the humility and ability to listen and learn. And the people are not alone. All along the path, non-human people help. What knowledge the people have forgotten is remembered by the land. The others want to live too. The path is lined with all the world's people in all colors of the medicine wheel: red, white, black, yellow, who understand the choice ahead, who share a vision of respect and reciprocity, of fellowship with the more than human world. Men with fire, women with water, to reestablish balance, to renew the world. Friends and allies all, they are falling in step, forming a great long line headed for the barefoot path. They are carrying lanterns filled with the sacred fire, tracing their path in light. As the native prophecy says, and as it teaches us and instructs us, the path ahead is ours to choose. Do we choose the path of our destruction? Or do we choose to embrace our call to be people of the seventh fire, carrying the light of hope, carrying the light of renewal, bearing in our hands the sacred gifts that we have unearthed in our deep dive into our individual ancestral traditions, diving into our own past wisdom teachings and wisdom collectives. We come together bearing these gifts and holding our arms outstretched for a world that is longing to be free. a world that is longing for peace and harmony, a celebration of diversity, and a recognition that each and every one of us are miraculously gifted to be a bearer of love and light in our world. Let this be our invitation, and let us accept that call as we choose the barefoot path. Thank you, and have a blessed holiday season, and I will see you all in the new year.